All right, Professor Ruff here, trying to do the last video of the night, and I was gonna go to bed. I was gonna do last minute studies and go to bed, but I felt I needed to do a short video because it's in my head. It's in my head, man. I have to get it out. I know what I say or what I do might have like little or no impact, but it will be documented for years to come. This is part of my legacy. This is part of my purpose that I'm building. And part of my purpose is to leave something behind for the younger generation. Okay. And I say the younger generation is not this huge mass. It's whoever in the younger generation might see this message, especially my children. I do want to plead with our current generation, not just the millennials, but the Generation X, the millennials, and the zennials. I think it's over for us. It's over for us because we couldn't handle the things that came in our generation when we talk about the influx. I didn't grow up in I well. I was born in the United States. I didn't really grow up here, so but some of those things that happened while I wasn't living in the country then is still manifesting in my current um in the current state. Um some of our generation, let me go back to what I was trying to say. Our generation was hit by too many things, and we can try to blame these things, and that's okay. But when I look at it from an analytical point of view, the way my mind works, the work is on us. You know why? Because the world don't care. You're playing a game of cards, and they give you your cards. They give you your cards, your deck of cards, and you just gotta play with whatever you have. That's just life. And while you're playing your deck of cards, you're laying down your judge and your spades and your kings and queens and all these things, whether it's Uno or whatever it is. You have to make good informed decision because you don't want your opponent to see your hand, right? Because you're trying to win, right? But trying to win comes with having information and using that information to make informed decisions and making better choices so that you can make the best outcome. For me, the journey I'm on is to be the best version of myself. The best version of myself, man. I wish I knew about the philosophy and the concepts or the theory behind being the best version of yourself in my younger days. Most of my adult mistakes, I wouldn't have made it. But then being the best version of yourself comes with maturity. And maturity doesn't necessarily mean age, it means growth in thinking, growth in withstanding adversity, mental grit, commitment, being disciplined, being structured. There's a lot of things that come into play. Professor Ruff is talking, man. Professor Ruff is talking because it's an urgent issue. The Time magazine post, you know, in one of their issues, I'm just gonna read a line. Black people are much more likely to be single at 59%. That is more than half of black people. The current population census of black people is over 40 million. with more black women than black men. 40 million black folks out of 300 million and counting. 40 million out of 300 million, right? I don't even know what the ratio is. Let me see if I can do small calculation right here. 40 divided by 3. Okay. Mm, 100. That's 13% of the population. Black people make 13%. And I might be wrong. I don't trust my math. 40 divided by 300 million, it should be 230 million. 40 million divided by 330 million or 300 million, 0.13 times 100 is 13.33. That is 13% approximately. Maybe the math is not right, but that's a rough calculation. And 59% of that 13% is likely not to get married. Then between black men and black women, 62% are not likely to get married. This is serious business, folks. I know I talked about it with a friend of mine, a guest of mine on my IG live. Hopefully, I'm able to um, do more shows with him. I really enjoyed that discussion. Um, I've been sleeping late lately, so I need something to keep me up so I can drop this little short video. All right, and we're in the gynocracy, people. We're living in the gynocentric society. What is gynocracy? Let me Google this stuff so that you guys know I'm not making this stuff up. Um, let's see. Governed by women or by single women. Gynarchy. Government by women or by single women. I don't want to call it a government because it's not a. I want to call it the government because it's not a legitimate or authoritative thing. It's more of an informal thing. It's not working, man. It's not working. I don't understand where black women feel. God, I have to be careful because this is just my anecdotal experience and the experiences of people that I know about and what I've heard in the media and my research. Anyway, we need to. I have no hope for Generation X, the Millennial generation, and the Zennial generation. But what I do have hope is if we can try to undo some of the damage that we have done in our lifetime, at least there's hope for our children. If we don't do anything, our culture and our race will die off in these United States. It's just a matter of time. Now you might say that I'm fear mongering, but the numbers is showing that 59% of 59% from 13% of the US population, which is predominantly black, 13% only are likely not to get married. Out of that 30%, 62% of our black women are likely not to get married due to different various factors. And some of these factors I have issues with the strong independent woman. Women don't need to be independent. Women need to be interdependent. There's a difference. Being interdependent means that you can be independent and dependent on somebody. But if you're just being independent, you're doing things by yourself. Hence the baby mama culture. hence the lack of wives, hence the lack of uh, I don't even say suitable men, and that might be the case, but I have to say it, suitable men, because these men came from the gynocracy, they came from the baby mamas. But black men want to be with black women. But black women have unrealistic expectations. And this is just a generalized observation. It is not pretty here. For me, I've been a husband before. Yes, I had a failed marriage. I was married to the same woman twice and it didn't work out. I did my best. But my legacy, the legacy that I'll leave behind is not a single man's legacy. I promise you that. I promise you that. In fact, I don't even need to promise anybody. I promise myself that my legacy is not gonna be a single man's legacy. Leave here by myself and die alone. Nah, it's not that. There's no legacy in that. Just living passively and you grow old and you die alone. How are we supposed to replace us as black people? We're only 13% of the population. And 62% of our females, who are the transmitters of culture to our children, are screaming, I'm an independent, strong black woman. The delusion that is going on. But I don't want to bombard our black sisters about them being deluded. Black men are being deluded as well. You know, we need to come to the table. We need to go fix us and come to the table. But I don't see that happening in our generation, whether it's the generation X or the millennial generation or the Zennials. But we can do something for our children so that they can carry on the torch when we are long gone, and they can pass on the new culture to their children's children. I want my children's children passing twerk culture, gang gang culture, the money phone culture, the sagging of pants culture, the dysfunction. I don't think people understand where we're going as black people in this country. We live independent of each other. The dollar only lasts 6 hours in black families. Black women are the most black black women are the most consumers in this country. You guys can go Google that. Black women are the most consumers in this country. When I mean consumers, they spend more money. 9% of black women earn 75,000 and above. What's going on with the other 81%? They earn less than 50K. Huge numbers earn at least 37 to 40K a year. So while there's apartments springing up left and right to keep us single so that the economy can make money off of us, our culture is dying. Our identity is dying. We're disintegrating. We're at the bottom right now. How can we not take this serious, man? The gynocracy must end. This is the responsibility of both parties to come to the table and sort things out. Now, while For us, it may be late. We can do something for our children. For me, I always have options. I have options, man. Professor Ruff will be married again. It's not if, it's when. I know the legacy I want to leave behind, and I will leave that legacy. If I ever have a tombstone, to be loving husband and father. It's not gonna be loving father, but I want to leave something behind that is useful, that will impact my children and their children's children and the generations to come. This is my little fight against the gynocracy, against our current culture, against our current mindset. There's a need for urgency here. And I'm not saying people should just go ahead and go get married and do all this. No, but we need to fix our mindset. We need to start undoing some of the damage. We can't blame social media. We can't. You know why? It's self accountability. We need to start holding ourselves accountable. We need to start holding ourselves accountable for our own actions. You can't blame social media, Facebook, IG, and all these other TikTok, all these other platforms. It's either you use it to your advantage or you use it to your disadvantage. The problem with the black community is short-term win, long-term loss. Short-term wins, long-term loss. We only worry about winning right now because it feels good. What about the impact downstream, along the road? Huge and grave consequences. I need to go to sleep. I'm getting to the bag, getting out the mud. Spread dollars. Ones in the strip club. These images have done more harm to the community than good. Now, we're living in a free society and people can make whatever choice they want to make. You can't force people. But there are consequences behind choices. It's a cost benefit analysis, it's a trade off, opportunity cost, gains and losses. Okay? We don't even look at the world like that. We look at vibes. We're vibing. It's a vibe. It's a vibe. Two chains. By the way, that brother is married to a beautiful, average looking lady. And I say that with all respect. She's a beautiful woman, but they've been together for years. But if you go listen to his music, what does that tell you? I'm gonna leave that one right there. The gynocracy must end. It must end. We might not be able to end it right now, but we should end it for our children. And that's all I ask. That's all I ask. This week, I've been on site. I've been working on site at my job. I had compliments and smiles from non-black women than black women. In fact, as a matter of fact, I seen this Filipino lady, young, beautiful Filipino lady, very conservative. It's been a while I've seen her, and I was taking one of those breaks, walking up, walking, trying to get my circulatory system in in order. My muscles, a little bit of exercise during the work day, my 15-minute break. So as I was coming back from my walk, I seen her. She's like, "Hey, hello, how you doing? How you doing?" She's smiling at me. By the way, she's married. Okay. I'm a long time I haven't seen you. Where have you been at? She's been working with the COVID patients, yada yada yada. Woo, woo. And we talked, and we're not even really close friends. We just like, hey, how you doing? And she walked with me. She was doing her walk, so we kind of met. Where I was She was going, and I was going back to my office, and she turned around to walk with me, and we was talking about stuff, making jokes. When it got to the section where I was supposed to go into the admin section of the building, she walked me all the way there. She told me it was nice to see you. Hope to see you again. You too. Today I'm outside on my break again because this incident, the previous incident happened on Monday. Today I'm outside and this regular Mexican lady smiled at me. Didn't have to do that and say hi. And I said hi back. But my black sisters that I see, they're squeezing their face. You say hi to them, they feel like you trying to ask them out. You trying to smash. It's horrible. How you think men meet women? Women, you gotta understand this, man. For a man to approach you, for a man that is interested in you to approach you, it takes a lot of guts. Even the serial cheaters, even for serial cheaters, it takes a lot of guts. At least most men, there's only few men that what you call them, Casanovas. It's just that natural ability and gift that they have that they're able to can adapt in the environment really fast and really fast, really quickly. They know how to be slick. But not all men, majority of men are not like that. Men like to think first. Okay, I'm about to say hi, but if I say hi, will she say hi back? I don't want to say hi because if I say hi, she doesn't say hi. That's a wound on my ego. So I'm just not. I'm just gonna just chin up and just like act like she ain't existing. That's where we at right now. I see this one black female. I went to use the restroom on my way out. I was gonna take a little bit of walk after looking at spreadsheets all morning, and I seen this sister. I seen her. She's a new employee, good looking sister. And I'm walked out. I'm trying to figure out if I should walk or if I should just go back to my office. But I'm like, you know what? I think I need to walk. By the time I was making my decision, and I turned right and I seen her. She's like, hey, how you? I'm like, hey, hello. And I waved her. And she walked into the elevator. This is a black girl. Normally, I've seen her a lot of times, and she's never said hey before. So I've always tried to mind my business. The first time she said hey, I wasn't sure if she was talking to me. I looked around to see she was like saying hey to somebody else. But then it was just me. So that pause was kind of, awkward. And I said hey back before she got into the elevator. Anyway, yesterday on my way back, well, yesterday I'm going home. And I seen her outside. She's going to her car. I'm going to my car. And I said, hey, just to be friendly. And she just said, hey. So by the time I could even like try to introduce myself and whatever, she just walked away. Like, I'm trying to ask her for a number. That shit sucks. Look, she's single. She didn't have no ring on her finger. I wasn't trying to ask her out. But damn, as a black man, you trying to approach black women. It's like going on the same journey Moses went to get the Ten Commandments. It's ridiculous. Why do I have to go through all that struggle just to just get a smile or pleasant etiquette from somebody, a female that shares my reflection? It's ridiculous, man. Meanwhile, non-black women, I saying hate me left and right. Now, if I were to be dealing with non-black women, oh, you're a sellout. This is ridiculous. 62% of black women will not be married. So the other 48% are the ones that are going to be married. And those ones might get divorced because they don't know how to maintain relationships. They don't know how to maintain marriages. What happens to us as a people? Our culture is degrading left and right. What do you think is the problem with Chicago in all these melting pot cities? High murder rates is due to the gynocracy, gynocentric culture, the welfare state of mind. And I'm gonna read this really quick. I'm gonna keep this video really short and go to bed. The world operates on gynocentrism, male disposability, and cultural misandry. Who built and maintained all you see when you drive down the road? Men. Who lived where trafficked, exploited, and disposed in the war for women's and the state's safety and welfare? Men. Men were socially conditioned by women and the state to be providers and protectors. Human sacrifice. Parentheses. All right, let me read that back. Men were socially conditioned by women and the state to be providers and protectors, human sacrifice, parentheses, of women and the state. That's not the fault of evil patriarchy, as you were told by feminists and other gynocentrists. That men at the top and women colluding to dispose the common men's lives for women and the state benefits. These were expectations placed upon men by women and the state. That is literally brainwashing, socially conditioning common men into human sacrifice. If men are privileged, then why do men pay the vast majority of alimony, assets, division, child support? Why do men get far harsher punishments for equal crimes? Why are men the vast majority of suicides? Why have men always worked the most dirty, dangerous, life shortening, life threatening jobs? Why do men live the shortest lives? Why was there no female only draft? Why was there no women's last in the lifeboat policy? People remember what the lifeboat policy is. If a ship is sinking and you have a lifeboat, deploying the lifeboat, they let the women and children first. Why do women get the majority of the state and federal spending on health, education, welfare, when men do now and have always paid majority of the taxes? Men, especially the black heterosexual men, we are the bottom. Most of the black heterosexual men that need women to create families came from the gynocracy, so they doomed. They're delusional also. See, where I'm from in Africa, man, I didn't understand why they always place importance in in the first son. I'm the first son of my father, and being the first son came with a lot of responsibility. That's why I am the way I am. I'm very direct. I'm very, it's survival. The need to be a man, to stand in front of my family. I'm like, yes, my father raised me well to be a man. If my father were no longer to be here, I'm the man. That's how men were raised. In the gynocracy, women were pedestalized. The baby mamas were pedestalized. And I'm not trying to knock on baby mamas, but I'm trying to show you where the problem is coming from. In African culture, the men were needed to take care of the family. The father was, as a father, you're always worried about having a son because you have all this responsibility and you don't know if you're going to live long enough, but you want to do a lot and bring your son up to speed just in case something were to happen to you. Your son is up to speed to head the family. But if your son is not up to speed, usually in Asian African tradition, the man's brother, the man dies, his brother will take over the wife, his wife and his children. Yes, it sounds a cake, but self-preservation, the first rule of nature. We forgot about our basic principle of self-preservation. Instead, we're chasing Birkin bags, $1,000 steak restaurants, red bottom shoes, Gucci belts, Louis Vuitton. All these things that don't matter for our survival as a people. I want to go to bed. I'm gonna do an IG live with a friend of mine so we can debate this topic. But there's a need to reverse this mindset, this dysfunctional mindset. Reversing this mindset now will not do any kind of good for us because it's too late. So it's everybody for your own. But I feel like we need to put in the work, both black men and black women, for our children. We're only 30% in the population. Anyway, I'm just gonna go to bed. Why y'all taking dating as a game? You're wasting the valuable time of your life when you're fertile. You can create black families with a man and be stable. Then you want to come back at 40, 45, 50 years old, talking about you know what you want, you know your worth. The delusion is just powerful. How do we purge ourselves with this delusion? We strayed from our values. And this phenomenon is not only happening in the United States, it's happening in the continent, it's happening in the motherland. This state of thinking. But that's another discussion. I hope to talk more about this discussion in more videos to come. This is not just going to be the only video I'm going to talk about it. There'll be more videos on this discussion. Anyway, for now, I'm just going to say good night. Professor Ruff is out and end stream.